An urban explorer went missing. This is all that was found. Hello and welcome back. We are going to be looking at Habilis, a first-person horror game where we need to uncover what happened to Nathaniel Walters, the urban explorer we play as, reliving his final moments. This game has quite a bit of gore, just warning you, but without further ado, let's get on to the video. We open to an unknown voice telling us that this is a true story. The tape we are about to watch was found from a man named Nathaniel Walter, but his body was never found along with the camera. We can then see a flashing yellow light. Now, this is an issue I'll rant about a bit later, but I could not figure out what this was. While Nathan thanks his viewers for 1,000 subscribers, I was wondering why the hell I couldn't see anything. So, what you need to do is activate your flashlight, which I did not know existed until I opened the controls. I must have somehow skipped the blurb that tells you to use it, or it just wasn't there. Nathan says that he got a tip from a friend that the place must be abandoned, with mail piling high outside. But because it's technically pretty illegal to trespass, he can't just tell us where it is. Turning the light on, we can see our car that went through the gate, blocking us from leaving. Surrounded by overgrowth and large rocks, the only way through is a vine-ridden and densely packed narrow passage. We also have this, a tablet we can bring up to show us objectives when we need them. Eventually, we can find this giant metal doorway that has a computer panel and a pre-recorded announcer voice blaring in a glitchy manner, welcoming us to the derelict abode. Checking the door yields that it is deserted, but we can't use the panel, so Nathan follows a power panel to the side of the building. Small feature to mention is a battery reloading feature, which is honestly never really important. Finding a breaker box on the side, Nathan realizes he can just break it, but he doesn't have a screwdriver. But there's a maintenance box nearby that we can take from to open it. But while searching for the box, we can hear a child laughing as the screen glitches. A sound that scares Nate, but he brushes it off. After committing a misdemeanor with the same amount of safety as Electro Boom, we can walk back to the door as Nate tries to open the panel again. When it finally works, he celebrates, but while doing so, the camera experiences more glitches and odd noises. After walking in, the door shuts behind us and the lobby lights come on. We can see a logo for TRP Corporation as the audio announcer from before becomes even more distorted. The other door in the room doesn't work, so we need to find a different path. Luckily, this convenient arrow points to a vent cover we can take off with a screwdriver. While diving in, Nathan says that he could feel a minor earthquake, but then he turns a corner into this thing. This creepy face on spider legs jumps out and then disappears. After giving Nathan a small heart attack, he continues to trudge on. Also, while we're in the vents, Nate says how in a previous video, fans said that you can't crawl through vents because they'd collapse. He retorts that sometimes in industrial areas they are strong enough. This line, paired with the uneven matching of some of these vents, actually set me on edge, expecting a simple vent fall trap. Especially in this long stretch, but no, it was actually a pretty good moment of suspense for me, so point there. After crawling out of the vents, we can pop into a room with this weird reactor thing in the center that we can use as cover from this odd little floating robot. We can sneak past it into this dingy storage spot where we can find an office. There's a bunch of messages on the computer, like a package coming in for the recipient from Mother Hub, and another soldier begging for backup. Lastly, there is a man wondering why everyone's getting sick, begging for help. But picking a certain option, Nathan comments about something he saw, and he finds a password. We can then hear another earthquake, and Nate gets a bit more worried, but we can make our way to the door now. Going through, we end up in a long, dark hallway that has lights that flicker on as we go, revealing small splats of blood. But once close enough, the lights flash on over multiple corpses and a hulking creature that only appears for a second. Nate is horrified at the sight of the dead bodies, both on the ground and behind the glass. The camera glitches and childlike laughs aid in the nausea and coughing fits as he trudges forward. Then we see another blood splatter from just behind a box as a body slumps over. Going over to him, though, the man who screamed just a second before is long dead with no apparent cause in sight. Continuing through, he finds a severed corpse with blood splats leading through a vent. He takes this time to lament on his life, starts apologizing to his mother. Then we can see the camera glitch and a loud blaring noise as behind us the spider-like creature from before gives chase. After a few seconds, it disappears. Then it crawls back on Nathan's face. Nate gets out of the vents and continues to get sick and cough heavily until we make our way through the next door. A hall that's floor gives way into a sewer-like system, walls blocked by rubble, and these grotesque, foreign creatures that were never meant for this world. We can sneak past them into a round room with an artifact on a screen and a body in a corner. There's 2 desks that we can find tablets on. For the one in the front of the room, we can learn that there are a strange reading coming from whatever machine they're building, and that one professor wonders what human could have possibly made these blueprints. The other tablet allows you to open the door to the elevator, but also has a message from Mother Hub saying they need implant chips and that their situation isn't going good. There's other mentions of a compound named XB9 and using a children's song to activate something, which is as unconventional as the scientist makes it sound actually worked. Lastly, we can go over to the robot-looking suit, but the user can't find contact with anyone, and the recording gets more glitchy as it tries to replay, and we hear a child laugh and grow. Now we can go through the elevator and the system drains the vents. As it's happening, Nathan can hear a clicking sound, and the camera gets glitchy, while we hear weird, faint whispering noises. Nathan starts yelling, talking about how he won't say it. Then he says to his viewers that it's asking him to say, "Start the machine," but he doesn't know why. When opening the elevator panel, we can see an option that implies escape, but due to maintenance issues, it sends us down into the basement. When it says this, Nathan starts coughing wildly and spitting out yellow liquid. After recovering, he starts swearing at the voice in his head and then tells it that he'll go deeper as the elevator starts to descend. When the doors open, Nate gets a bad feeling looking at the giant growths lining the walls and broken environment. He says he must stay hidden, for some reason. Walking through, we can hear creepy whispering and also some faint squelching footsteps. While walking through, I found a room that looks like a bathroom, where we can find a dead body with a recording. The recording says how they started going crazy. The isolation was making them hear voices similar to their little brother that died when she was a kid. He was calling for her from within the walls. After walking away from the body, I walked through, and then this thing came around the corner and screeched a terrible noise. Yeah, the shot of it is pretty bad, because once I saw the footage go glitchy, I just ran for it. In this section, there are lockers you can use to hide from the roaming monster. This monster can only see you within a certain range, so you just need to keep your distance. But its sheer hulking size and creepy figure made me pretty scared shitless of it, I'll be honest. After that, we can find a large set of broken doors that we need to open. While trying to complete the next few objectives, like activating the power box, we can see the words in our tablet get less and less sensical, as well as Nathan going into random panicky bursts or incoherent muttering. Whatever is down here is driving him insane. When he gets to the console, we can find a glitched recording talking about taking readings below the complex. They made scans of a modified sonar to find something that could fill the center of the Earth. But what scared them when they tried to read it again is that they found whatever it was wasn't sitting in the same spot. It could move. After going to the now open doors, Nate finds that the next one requires a keycard to open. Going back to the body from earlier, we can find one. Now we can end up in a new, smaller room. We can find 2 more tablets with audio logs and a glass divider that has an odd box-like artifact with an emanating glow. From one tablet, we have workers saying how they had the clearance to make the machine, but not even know what it does. Then another person saying that people got sick when the machine was made and how their connection at Mother Hub tells them that it's just as bad there. They also describe how the machine starts to hum and the singing of what sounds like a child. Someone else said that the machine is over a geological hotspot to be some huge thermal generator. Another tablet has engineers talking about their work. One who is making chips to prevent the disease doesn't even trust what he's making, even if it is supposed to help the people at Mother Hub. The other engineers are bewildered with how they have been given the designs first and told to engineer such an odd machine later. One engineer says how the circuits are in a way that she'd never even imagined. while another one says how XB9 can give off an odd pattern frequency of 33.33 Hz. That is what created the blueprint. The last recordings come from the door panel, one from a General Maximus to the CEO of TRP. They explain the decision to quarantine Mother Hub and this site due to the danger of the disease. The CEO retorts that the company needs to stay open to increase shareholders, and that the disease will pass in time. Another log comes in from the janitor that says how scientists go into the chamber, but he's never seen them come out. The last message from an inspector says that he'll be coming by tomorrow to check if there's a carbon monoxide leak, and recommends evacuation. Our last option is to open the large double doors. When we look into the immense room with a black void in front of us, we can see white lights on eye stalks come down, followed by this leviathan of a creature with hoof-like appendages as Nathan's camera glitches and his voice goes hoarse. In a corrupted manner, he starts saying that he'll start the machine. As we walk towards a gate of some kind, opening it up, we see a bright light to a different world. The camera starts losing battery as an appendage comes out from within Nathan in a world with bright neon mushrooms and a desert landscape. The camera's last image shows us assumedly what became Nathan, as our screen fades to black. Well, that was actually a pretty nice 45-minute romp. I think this was actually a pretty nice game. Not perfect by any stretch, but I hope that my criticism can either help the game or the developer, or at least explain some things I was not a huge fan of. First, I don't know if it was my own stupidity or a bug, but how was I supposed to know I had a flashlight in the first scene? Granted, I'm stupid, but usually there's an F for flashlight button. Either I accidentally skipped past it, or couldn't see it, or one just doesn't exist. Could have just been a bug too on my end. I don't know if this was a common problem, but it frustrated me when I felt like a dumbass for about 4 minutes straight, not being able to see anything. I also see no point in the tablet we have walking around. It's a good idea and kind of a neat story element near the end, but it's just so buggy and kind of unhelpful. You can accidentally toggle tasks on and off, which creates a long list on the top left of your screen and can be kind of annoying to use. I think that once an objective is done, it should be just checked automatically, and the box to check it shouldn't be just opening the task. Only the checkbox icon should really have a collision to do that, because when you just open the task to try and see what it's describing, it just automatically checks it off the list. I think if the developer made it automatically so that things would get checked or automatically display your current task, would be far more helpful, and a bit more convenient. Some other issues I noticed, feature neglect. There are health packs and a battery reloading feature, neither of which were all that helpful or really used at all. Now, I did end up looking up another video after writing this script, and I found out that the monster is not a one-hit kill on you, so the health packs are kind of helpful if you want to, survive more hits from the monster. But also, if that's the case, it's way too easy to evade. I think the monster should be a bit more threatening, and maybe just one-hit kill the player, and that would eliminate the need for health packs, but also increase the level of suspense that's created. Another small issue I had was this section with the big creature. Nathan just says how he should hide because he doesn't have a good feeling about this place, but I literally didn't see the creature for like 6 minutes while exploring. I think a cutscene of the creature mauling something or falling from the ceiling or looking over it just to scare the player, but also teach them that there's something there would be far more effective. There are ways to do this that allow you to still maintain suspense, but I just think this section could have been improved. Honestly, regarding environments, I think they look pretty good. Some better than others, but the area after the lobby and the one before the lab, I think have considerable improvements that could be made. I think that area after the first vent could have had more miscellaneous offices to duck in and hide from the security bots to make it more impactful and interesting to explore. I think if the developer expanded that area, put more offices in, and also put more security bots, it would be a more difficult stealth section to add a little bit of interesting suspense before the monsters are even there. I think that this would allow the player to understand more of the stealth mechanics that are used later with the monster, and I think it'd just be more interesting time that you could add in between to give the players something more to see and do. I also think it's a bit of a waste that the epicenter of the artifact before the big bad didn't have bodies or some fungus seeping from the walls. Granted, this may be for story reasons that this area is pristine and I just don't know, but we just came from halls that had fungi and creatures and dead bodies strewn about, so why is this area so clean? It's literally before the giant monster to the portal where I get sucked up and turned into a monster. I think this area having more horror elements similar to the previous one would have been a lot more interesting. Some things I do really like about this game, though, are the horror and other environments. My favorite ones were probably the creepy sewer in the outside area and the deadly hallways. I do feel like some areas were a bit sparse, but they were pretty cool inside. I think it's a really interesting premise with a lot of potential, and I can't wait to see what the full game has in store. This was meant to be more of a promotional game from what I gathered, so I don't expect the creator to put a lot of their time into changing or improving this game, but I just hope that they take the concepts onto their next game if any of the same issues happen to be prevalent. One last issue I had with this game is that I don't think this is a big issue, because this is, one, a difference in opinion, and two, likely different from the bigger game based on what I've seen, but these audio logs make the game more tell than show. A lot of the story came from text walls along with the voice lines, which is perfectly fine. They were enjoyable to an extent, but I know that some people really do not like that as much. I'm fine with it. I mean, have you seen my Boogeyman video? But I understand people don't like this method of story development as much. One thing I really like is that a lot of our exposition for the disease is just a few people saying that they're sick or two voice communications of a fight on another floor. And then we see the dead bodies laying in quarantine infirmaries and dead bodies strewn across the floor. A lot of people don't like gore like this in a game, believing it's just cheap, which I understand. But personally, I dislike some of the more popular horror films like Terrifier, I think it is, where it just sounds like Gore the movie. Granted, I haven't watched it, and all I know is the scenes that I've been described by my friends who also happen to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and were upset more people didn't die in Scream, so yeah, I'm a little bit biased in this. I think the gore in this game kind of teeters on that line, but I still think it was good enough to be impactful, but not overused to be distasteful. This is different based on the person, but I thought it was pretty well utilized and could have actually been used more, like the test chamber or the monster hallway. But yeah, I 100% recommend this game. It's a nice fun romp and a decent short horror game that looks to have a good potential follow-up. I'm gonna keep an eye on this one, and if you're interested too, you can wishlist Mother Hub on Steam. It'll be the first link, and the second one is this game if you want to go ahead and try it. Both games have demos available, and this one, I am so happy that the developer offered me a key to play it, and I hope that they really take a lot from this. I want this game to improve because I think that there's a lot of potential in this story, especially considering that there is a demo for the main game Mother Hub, and its trailers looked pretty interesting. If you guys think it would be interesting, I'll probably check out the demo and make a video on it as well. Anyways, links to the games will be in the description. Thank you again so much to the developer for asking me to check your game out, and I sincerely hope that the follow-up is as good as it seemed in the trailers. Now, before I do my usual outro, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting me in the last bit. I know certain videos haven't been doing as well. I've been hoping to try and improve things, and I also have a Discord now if you'd like to come talk, suggest, or see announcements when they come up. I also try to announce streams earlier there and give ideas of what I might be streaming. But yeah, that should be it. Been me, Moosh. Comments, criticism, suggestions are always welcome. I'll see you later. Arrivederci.